Hello everybody, Dr. Strife here, bringing you a new review of a game that I'm not seeing a lot of talk about, and I'm kind of surprised, a little bit saddened, because I've really enjoyed my experience with it. The game is called The Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars. Yeah, that's a long time, so I'm just going to call it Voice of Cards. But I do want to thank Square-Enix for providing me with a review copy. So, yeah, I said I like the game. Let's get into why and if it's worth your time. The art style of the game is amazing. On the surface, it looks like just a, card game, but there's more to it than that. It's definitely very unique as far as the art style goes, designed by the Nier team, and you can tell by the way the graphics look, and it's just fantastic. They have this storybook style kind of going on, storybook slash D&D campaign type thing, where you have these little pieces that you move around. It's almost like D&D with a board game, with a card game. You'll see it on the screen. It just looks very good, flows very well. And the story itself is really good. You start out with a hero who's a bit of a jerk at first, kind of only caring about money. But you see that he grows over time and becomes a better character, and so do the other characters that you meet along the way. And it is just told by one narrator, but the narrator does such a good job, it doesn't matter that none of the other characters are voiced. You just hear him telling you the story of the game. And like I mentioned before, the characters are not cookie cutter. They all have great and unique personalities, and make them stand out from generic role-playing character tropes. And I love the music of this game. It's got a very fantasy medieval tone and vibe to it, and I really dig it, and it fits well within the game's world. Now, one of the things is you will actually be traversing. This is more of a turn-based classic style RPG than a card game, so you have to move around a map. And when you move around a map, you're like just a marker piece, and you move that marker piece to uncover more of the map, especially a world map. Usually the towns are pretty much, you don't have to move around to uncover where to go. But what happens too, another neat feature of this is that you can use, once you uncover parts of the map, you can use the right stick to simply just highlight where you want to go. So let's say you're in the middle of a field and you need to go to the town to recover your health, stock up on more items. You'll be able to, instead of just simply going piece by piece, you can just simply take the right stick, highlight the town, and jump straight to it. So it's kind of its own fast travel, but fast travel to any point on the map, which is really neat. And of course you can use these in a lot of towns. Now there are some story parts where they restrict that a little bit. If you're in a dark cave or in a foggy forest, things like that, then you kind of have to move, a little bit slower, but which it can be a little bit sluggish at times. The only other complaint I have is that the animations are a little sluggish. That's because when you enter battle, someone sets this board down where you place your characters on the screen and play your moves. So it is kind of like that. And also the menus are a little slow moving, so I wish there was an option to skip some of those sometimes. But it does add to the feel, but after a while it can get a little monotonous when it comes to that. As I said before, this is not really a card game as much as it is an RPG. Now, it does have a little card game you can play in it, just like most other Square-Enix games, like with Triple Triad and stuff. There are card games in there that you can have a good time with, but I'm too stupid to really understand those, so I don't really fool with those too much. More of a turn-based RPG, but everything is cards. So, items are cards that you buy from the store, special moves are earned by leveling up, and your characters are cards. But the good thing about moves is that the moves that you do in combat aren't really like you have a deck of cards and then once you use the card, that's it. It's more like you actually just choose your options, and instead of it being in a menu type system, it's just you pick the card or the spell or the action that you want to take. Now, instead of mana, you have a pool of these crystals you get. You get one crystal per turn, and you can use items to gain more crystals. But when you can build these up, you can pull off certain moves that require these crystals. But you share them with your entire team. So if you cast a big spell, and you only have one jewel left, after the next turn, then, you know, that limits what the other characters can do. So you kind of have to think wisely about how you want to use each ability. And of course, you'll find random loot throughout the adventure, and you'll have even random events that will just pop up. And these random events will sometimes either be story bits where, like, your party could be in danger and you have to roll a piece of dice to see whether you avoid the danger or not. Sometimes it's special fights, special stories, and things like that. And also, there's other things to unlock. I will go ahead and let you know there's these mysterious cards. There's 10 in all. Collect these. Trust me, you'll want these, especially when you get towards the end. So, this game just took me 13 hours to beat, which may sound short, but honestly, I think this is because most JRPGs are just very long time sinks. Like Shin Megami Tensi is like 50 to 70 hours. Like, holy cow. But this is a nice bite-sized game, and I'm sure you can even milk even more hours just by exploring and doing all the quests and stuff. But yeah, the difficulty does ramp up near the end, and I did find that I struggled with the final boss until I found some newer equipment, newer gear, and had to grind a little bit. So the final boss is a bit tougher than everything else in the game. Overall, though, I really enjoy this game. The animations can be a little slow at times, and moving around the map can take a little time and can be a little tedious, but once you get the hang of everything, the feel, the look, the strategy involved in fights, it's just all comes together, and then the wonderful character moments that you see, all the little stories, it's not going to be your typical cookie cutter RPG. There's a lot of twists and turns, like I mentioned before, a lot of light humor, a lot of dark moments, but it just all blends together so well, and at a price of $30, I think it's worth the buy, especially if you're wanting a JRPG, but you don't want to invest the time into a really long one. I think this fits the bill perfectly. And I'm a little sad there's no physical edition, so Square-Enix, you need to get on that. But yeah, I want to know what your thoughts are. Have you tried this game out yet? There is a free demo, and I played this on the Nintendo Switch. And once again, I want to mention, for transparency, Square-Enix sent me this code, so thank you, Square, for that. If you want an RPG that respects your time and you want to have a good time, then I think this is one for you. Let me know what else you want to see here on the channel, and till next time, everybody, game on.